All right, Robby Stanley from NHL.com joins us on a night where the Preds lose 5-0 to the Avalanche. The locker room really not all that frustrated with this loss. What are your takeaways from it?
Yeah, I think you take a look at the game, and the 5-0 score is really ugly, right? You take a look at the score, and you're like, oh, that's not good. But I think the Predators feel like they played a fairly decent game for the most part. If you look at the chances and the shots on goal, I think you have to agree with them from that standpoint. You get down 1-0 and 2-0, and then all of a sudden you're chasing the game, as Peter Laviolette likes to say. So I don't think the 5-0 score was indicative of the way they played this game. Now, having said that, it's one thing to get your chances. It's another thing to finish on those chances, and they have not been doing a great job of finishing on the chances that they get as of late, especially outside of that top line of Johansson, Forsberg, Arvidsson. The scoring is a huge issue with this team, the secondary scoring, and they're going to have to figure out a way to solve that problem.
Is it dangerous to look at the scoreboard like that? I mean, 5-0 you would think would be frustrated, but you say, hey, I thought we played good here at X and Y. Is it dangerous to think like that?
I don't think so. I even say this when the Predators are winning games. To me, it's more about how they're playing. I think hockey especially, sometimes in an 82-game season, you can get so caught up in the result of the game. And to me, over the longer stretch, it's about how they're playing. Like I said, I don't think they played poorly tonight, but to me, you can never look at a 5-0 score and say, okay, that was really fun, that was great. So I do think there are some aspects of the game that they played really well in, but they got to finish on these chances. Otherwise, you can get all the chances in the world you want to get, but eventually the other team's going to score, and you got to score with them.
And we have 18 of these left. They'll be done before you know it. Anything that the Preds can show you that would increase their Stanley Cup chances outside of a trade?
Well, outside of a trade, I think it just takes some of their guys in-house stepping up. I mean, Kevin Fiala eventually is going to have to find the back of the net. Kyle Turris has got to play better than he has. Craig Smith when he's healthy. I mean, all these guys last year that had career years on their way to the President's Trophy hasn't happened for them so far this year. So until that happens, I think they're going to be hard-pressed to score goals. And as we know in the playoffs, when you can't score, it's impossible to win. So that's going to be a huge problem if they don't get that corrected.
And is there anything left out with that the Preds can trade for in your trade machine that gets them over the hump?
Well, there's one huge difference maker left in my mind, and that's Mark Stone in Ottawa. Now, it's going to cost a lot to go get a player like that, and quite frankly, I think Ottawa has done a good job of placing themselves in a situation where they could set up Nashville and Winnipeg and Vegas, all these different teams, basically in a bidding war for Stone's services.
Is it happening?
I don't think the Predators have enough assets to keep up with your Winnipegs and your Vegas to make that happen. So I would be surprised if they land Mark Stone, but maybe if you're David Poile, you take a look at not only tonight's game, but the way that some of these recent games have been going, and you just finally decide that you're willing to pay that hefty price. So that's a decision he's going to have to make here in the next 48 hours.
Robby, thanks for the time again.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.